Welcome, everyone, to the home of the strongest Mobile Legends Bang Bang players in the entire world. What is up, guys? I'm Naisu. Joined here with me is, of course, the other esteemed guest and host. But first, it's Gene. It's SouMan, for those that don't know. And we are here with the newest series, The Road to M5. We had a blast last week with our first episode with Dilar, of course. And we can't wait to show you guys more. This is also brought to you by our official teleco partner, Smart. Gene, we made it.
We made it finally, fresh from Romania, fresh from Ayast, Bucharest. Hello guys. Hello, but we need to speak in Tagalog. I'll speak in Tagalog first for our Filipino audience. Kami ang makakasama nyo para bisitahin ang iba't ibang rehiyon papuntang M5 World Championships. And of course, since we're going to have international guests for this podcast, for the Filipino audience, please bear with us because we need to cater to our guests. And of course, a majority of Pinoys can also understand Tagalog, but kapag napalalim ang English, nice got us.
I got you. I got you guys.
All right,
I got you.
all right.
Of course, you know, every episode, for you guys that don't know, we will be featuring a different guest from a different region. Last week, if you haven't watched it yet, don't forget to check that first episode out. That was with Dilar from Indonesia and their road to M5. We love to have them. You know, we love to hear more about Dilar's story. And now, you know, today, it's even more important because we get to cover another region. And
yes,
I feel like we have it. Before we introduce our guests, this is a region that has a lot of vibrancy. Like, this is a region that has a lot of things going on, and a lot of people like to keep their eyes there. So, you know, I have to go ahead and welcome Gene, our esteemed guest for today from the North American region. It's none other than Assassin Dave. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. We're honored to be here. Thank you for having me, and glad to be talking about North America.
There we go.
Hello, man. The first time I saw Assassin Dave was in 2020.
Wow.
When he was the content guy. I don't know what to call him. But he is the one. If you're gonna say NACT or if you're gonna say MLBB NA, two names come in mind. First one I think is Mobazane, but the other one is Assassin Dave. And I think he's really carrying the name or the MLBB industry for that region. So no more fancy talk, Dave. No more small talk. Let's get into the questions. We
do. And, you know, I just real quick before we get there, Gene, I just got to say, Dave was the first guy that I saw. Like, when I started playing MLBB and I started getting into, like, the content of it on YouTube, Dave was the first one that I saw. So, you know, and it's great that, you know, Dave and I have worked together now here in the past, and it's been a great journey, you know, to go from a viewer of his to like working alongside, and now we get to interview him, you know. So Dave, I gotta ask you, there it is.
Bro, nice. By the way, he's also fresh from Thailand. I saw his IG.
Fresh from Thailand.
Yes.
And he had a special guest. Yeah, he had a special guest with him. So maybe we'll talk about some of that. Yeah. First off, Dave, I'm gonna go ahead and ask you, how is NACT going for you guys?
Well, NACT has been going fantastic. We finished regular season stage 2 already, and we had a long break. Everybody knows because IESF that you guys just come back from. Yash, right? That's the city name. It was a super hard name for a lot of people, including me.
Yeah, we thought it was a Yasi too.
Yeah, but it's Yash. So yeah, we finished stage 2, and then right now we have one more stage. So the last stage will decide really the top 3 kind of locked in their spot already. The TLB, the BTK, the Avalon, and it's mainly just the last spot, right? Because right now, NACT is going to the next stage. Also, we're gonna have our biggest offline event yet. This is the first time we have a 2-day tournament day offline event for North America Mobile Legends esports scene, which is quite insane. Because before,
it is.
I mean, every single season seemed like we had a breakthrough, right? Like 2022 NACT Fall, we had a tournament. Featured our first ever offline event, LAN event in North America, which was really cool, in Vegas. And NACT Spring, nice we were there. Obviously, the Spring Grand Finals in HyperX Arena in Las Vegas as well. One of the best esports arena in the entire country, actually. I don't know about the world, but in US for sure. And then we had a blast. You know, definitely the crowd was crazy. I think we had a decked out event.
Yeah.
And then for fall, we expect to double our audience, offline audience. I mean, the online event is going to be insane because if you're talking about like the top.
Have you announced
points,
where it was? Not yet, right?
Yeah, it's already being announced.
Okay.
It's going to be in Los Angeles in Thunder Studio.
There it is.
And then it's in Thunder Studio. It's going to be insane. It's this is the first time we're using like a stage that's not built yet, because in North America, a lot of the venues that's already built, right? For example, HyperX, you went. The HyperX arena is already fully built, right? You just have to put on a desk, and then
it's like plug and play.
Exactly. The venue itself looks amazing already, you know, just the pyramid, everything. But Thunder Studio is the first time we're using arena using a venue that's not built yet. So they have to build a stage, and then the carnival event is gonna be a 2-day long event. So viewers can go there, have a lot of fun. So we have some secret guests we're gonna invite. It's just gonna be awesome, and we expect to double our live audiences. The online audience, like I said, back to what I was saying, is that now we're reaching a boiling point on our entire. I wouldn't say conflict, but I would really say the fated match, right? TLB, BTK, we know Spring had a lot of drama. Yeah. And then a lot of people were saying, okay, one team is not deserving to be there, and they got a lot of unnecessary hate, and another team didn't get a go, but there were a lot of backstories why they didn't, right? So now is really NA City Fall Grand Finals. It's time for these two teams to take that heat to the like most, should I say, explosive moment, right? Right. Who is going to prove themselves to be actually deserving their spot to represent NA to go to M5? That's going to be exciting.
Yeah. You know what? Personally, I watched the last Grand Finals where Naisu was casting, and I should say it was the most dramatic.
Yeah.
I think NA has the most dramatic competitiveness. Is the most dramatic region. Yeah. Especially they went on what 7 games. 5
games? Yes, 7 games. Yeah. Yep. That was the. I think, dude, that's honestly, I think the only grand final or even series. Yeah, well, grand final, best of 7 that has gone 7 games, and I was so happy to just be a part of that because it was forever goated, basically, as a series.
It really is, because everybody walked in, including a lot of our talents, and then also a lot of viewers. Majority, I would say, right, expected to be a 4-0 stomp, with the right reason, right? Because a solid foundation for that expectation. Because TLB or Outplay at the time, when they went to the grand final, they didn't lose a single game, right? Like not even a small match. It was a clean 100-0 win streak, whatever, right? Going into the grand finals, they never lost. And then, but BTK just went in with the killer focus. You know, it's a different. You can feel the energy that they had. And then it was very intense, right? Like you saw them, like the players sitting together eating burger. Yeah. They were not really talking much because I was with them, you know, behind the scene eating the burger. And then you just feel like within the team, it wasn't much talking. It was just like they're communicating with their eye contacts. Yeah. That's just like, hey, we gotta bring a killer attitude to this.
Yeah. Speaking of BTK, in NA's road to M4. That was last year. BTK members left to form the Valley. Now, on NA's road to M5, well, you guys are coming here in the Philippines, right? Fried Chicken reunited with Mobazane under the banner of BTK again. And the Valley disbanded. Can you give us some background on how those roster changes came about?
Yeah. There are a lot of backstories that happened within Valley.
All right.
That within Valley that you will probably hear about much later.
Eventually.
Eventually. And I think so, because like we had there is individual interviews, but it's so deep regarding like how this entire personal drama. By the way, 2 players actually respect each other, Zane and Hood, right? But then there was some personal, should I say, relationship that they were going through that really it accumulated to a point where they can't really live together, you know, under one roof anymore, and that's why the team got separated into. It's not really like, I wouldn't say hate, because I can almost say this for sure from my communication with both teams and both players. I talk to them a lot. Is that eventually they will probably collaborate. You know, it's just like it's gonna be down the road. So eventually it's going to be a love story. But right now, it's still going to be the drama, quote unquote, that you've seen, right? So they broke out, and then they broke up. After they broke up, Chicken, when we're at the Valley, when we were at the M4, he was getting different offers. So Chicken actually popped off, right? The NA team didn't have the best group stage, losing to all kinds of teams, right? At the time, everybody, and then which was quite sad because I don't know if you guys remember at the group draw for the Valley, they were showing everybody's expressions, like when the draw came out, and then who was like yes when they knew like, oh, we had an easy group. But then it was, at least in their eyes at the time, right? Because they thought like, oh, we can. It wasn't Indo, it wasn't PH right away, right? Like this seems like we can do okay. But we lost every game, and then it was quite. Luckily, M4 group stage didn't have elimination stage, right? So everybody had a second chance, and then it wasn't elimination. So they had a second chance, and I think the players absolutely popped off in the later stage and proved to be third strongest region. Put NA on the map again, right? The top 5 yet, but also the third strongest region, right? I think we defeated Malaysia, which was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. So, give props to all of them. But yeah, so after that, Chicken got a lot of offers to stay in Asia. The offer never really materialized, and I don't want to get into his personal, deals or offers from Asia. But what happens is he thought he could go to those regions, and he really wanted to explore his options in Asia. So he didn't join NACT Spring, which left Zane in an awkward position because Zane going back expecting at least he's going to have his buddy Chicken with him for Spring. So even though there's going to be a rival, but he's with Chicken, and Chicken has been through M3 and 4, and then Zane obviously himself M3 and 4. So they've been through a lot of big stages, and then they were like, okay, it's going to be a fight. Well, what he didn't expect is no, right? Chicken left, so it wasn't a fight, and then he had to rebuild entire roster, for the BTK NACT Spring this past season. And then over the entire season, just been training, grinding, and encouraging his players to, from all kinds of aspects. A lot of people helped the team because they were really behind initially. I think the first week they played the regular season, they lost to, I forgot who they lost to. I think it was Alpha and Hanabi. Oh yeah, it was 2 team invasions, right? I don't remember. Alpha and Hanabi on the same team at the time, and then Alpha wasn't that good at the time, and then people were like, so they were making fun of him, making fun of Zane, also the entire team. But over entire course of the season, luckily the regular season was 2 round robins over 2 months, so they had time to adjust, learn, and they quickly adapted. And to be honest, one thing I will talk about though, I'll give Zane a lot of credit for being a really fierce leader in this aspect. A lot of people think that Zane is bullying a lot of aspect, the way he carried himself, but it's that kind of bully attitude, in my opinion, that really make him a different kind of leader in esports. Because not too many people, if you interview a lot of pro players on stage, they're gonna be real humble and say, let's just try to interview Kyrie. He's really, really humble, right? He always say, my teammates carries me, I'm the worst in my team. Like that's how he talks, right? But if you interview Zane, he's not gonna give you any, like humility, quote unquote. Gonna be like, yeah, we're the best, right? Like that's kind of attitude. We'll come here for the championship. That's why we're here, obviously. Yeah. That's the attitude that he's giving you, and that's why I think he's that leadership really popped off. Mm-hmm. And because also when I spend time with him in Thailand, I get a chance to hear how he talked to his team. And it was an aspect of Zane I've never seen before. That's actually pretty eye-opening for me. Yeah.
There's obviously been some growth, like with Zane himself, and you always gotta remember, like a lot of these players are young, and even here, like in the Philippines, like players go through stuff, right? Like they're human as well, and they grow and they learn, and it's something that you can really see, like in the maturity of Zane. I feel like over everything that's happened, and even the past year, and I think it is also apparent, whether it's from a caster's perspective or even a fan perspective, that obviously Zane has a positive effect on the team's performances when he's there, and that's something I think that can be definitely seen by a lot of people.
It's a different kind of energy. And also, like, I just want to add another point. Zane is also the only player that I know so far Because the NA region for ML is a little bit different compared to the rest of the world. Actually, a lot different. Here, we don't have, there are barely any players who are playing the game full time, right? Like, you can name them on one hand. They're Zane, Hoon, who are actively Chicken, who are doing that. And that's it, right? Everybody else is just, you know, they have their own stuff to take care of every day. Work, school. So for Zane is the only player that in North America, because we don't have orgs, that he goes to a tournament and he will, this is how he encourages the team. He says, hey, if we win this NAC Spring, right, grand final, you guys keep all my prize money. And then I think he did that for M3 qualifier in NA as well, which is he gave away all his prize money to his team for the NA qualifier, which takes a, again, it takes some kind of leadership to do that, right? Not too many people are going to say, hey, financially, I'm going to give away all my prize money, which is, I don't think NA have that much prize money compared to the rest of the world. Still, to give away a few $1,000s like that, just to motivate a team, takes a leader, right? So that aspect only Zane has pulled so far in North America, and I think it's serving him incredibly well.
Yeah. I also think that there's a difference between the culture between the Western and the Eastern, because I think a lot of people is misinterpreting Zane's statements, and they just think he's just being honest. If he wins, he's just happy he wins, right? And I think in terms of esports in history, like in fighting games and in different MOBA titles, I think the banters and the trash talking is much worse, especially in the West, right? Because I think especially in the Philippines, I don't know, we're very shy.
Especially in Asia. It's just Asia in general.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, though. Like, they're blunt to a point that, you know, it's spicy. Like, people see it as it's spicy, but also people interpret it like here in the Asian part of the world as, oh, that might be rude or that might be, you know, off the cuff. But really, that's just the Western part of the world. You know, they like to talk like that.
Yeah, trash talk is so fun, right? To hear a bunch of people being honest, being very humble, is good to see, but it's also, let's be honest, also boring.
It's quite boring.
Quite boring. Get every player go on stage. Are you just gonna win? We're gonna do our best, but
remember the host from ISF? What he said? He's like, wow, everybody's so humble, you know, because like everybody he interviewed, they're like, you know, it's like straight humble answers. And you know, the host wanted some of that because the dude was from Chicago. So like he's used to, you know, listening to some of these players be like, no, we're the best. We're going to be the, you know what I mean? So it's a good point, man, Gene.
And it gives you stories, right?
Yeah. Every sports in NA is all about trash talk. Literally, like our traditional sports when I was in college, the football here, the colleges, you know, are just trash talking each other, right? We have songs. Like I went to the stadium. We have songs made of, you know, cussing the other team when they're in our stadium watching the tournament, right? That's just how it is. So it's at the end of the day, it's all friendly. The players love each other. Boxing match is the same way, you know, they give each other respect, but trash talk. I think that gives drama. That's why it's fun to watch, and that's why NA is the content of the world, you know. So it's great.
All right,
love the trash talk.
Speaking of words that are spicy and statements and everything, you know, and Mobazane as well, you know, recently he did mention, I think it was on one of his streams, he gave his 2 cents pretty much about, you know, the whole phrase of end of an era, right, for the Philippines. And that was, you know, between how Indonesia was stronger and everything going on. So, you know, he did say, I think he did clarify, though, that we'll have to see an M5, you know. So do you agree with him? Is it an end of an era? And, you know, given what we just saw from ISF as well, I'm sure, you know, some of you have some thoughts about that. So what do you think about that statement?
I think it's a new era for sure. But who is the king or queen? Who takes the crown of the new era? We don't know, right? Really, I think I agree on the later half of the statement, which is wait until M5. I do agree it's complete new era because the meta has changed drastically, right? It's kind of like right before M3, before BTK went to M3, and then when they arrived at M3, there's a huge meta shift with the gold lane. That's when the gold lane thing came out, right?
Right.
And we talked about, oh, by the way, everything's gonna change. Now marksman gets so much farm. Just sit there. Even your jungler has 5 kills. The marksman doesn't die, sit in the lane. He doesn't have more farm than the jungler. That's gonna change the meta. And it turned out, M3 meta completely changed. The jungle starts shifting towards utility jungles, more tank. and then giving a lot of resources towards the goal lane. The goal lane has the farm, wins the game. That's how it worked. That's why the meta got so still for so long, right? Because I think it stayed like that for a long period of time.
Right.
Now everything shifted again, right? We're seeing in the jungle a lot of the carries coming back, right? The assassins being more viable now. Namely Lancelot, Hai, Busa, Ling, all those characters become really viable, getting banned all the time. Fanny, and then obviously some marksman jungle, right? We're talking about Granger, the fighter marksman, right? It's not really like all the marksmen are coming out, but you're talking about like different characters are coming out that can be played. And I think, and also certain strategies, what I see right now in the current meta is more synergy, right? So if teams can play double support in mid again, right? They're playing one tank roam in the front line, they're playing one support mage like Angela, right? Now, on the same token, teams can expand really, and then expand into like a lot of different options. For example, if you're playing Angela mage because the common emblem, you can also do the digging mage, right? There are a lot of different options that works to the same idea, but will provide a different flavor, right? If you need the anti-quad control, but also hyper carry in the jungle, that can be something you think about, you know? But you also need some peel, so you can provide a Kaj at the front line. There are all kinds of options that I think will just shift how the M5 is going to look like. Right. It's really, end of the day, who adjusts, who uses synergy better. So I do think the meta completely shifted. Who's going to win, though? I agree with Zane in that aspect that Indonesia has adjusted faster, because from what we see in MSC, different tournaments, independent tournaments that we've seen so far, they have tried more things, right? Okay. The creative draft that we've seen, right? With Valir and all the stuff that came out. And obviously, not to say anything, but in WCG tournament, I don't know if you watch, right? Echo has two teams, Echo Loud, Echo Proud. Yeah. The tier 2, the second team beat the first team, right? The Sunji, all those people, 2-0, right? They got eliminated like that, and then because the other team was using more creative drafts, also, whereas we're still seeing a similar echo from M4. I think that's obviously to show you that the team that are adjusting more, that are more creative, might actually have an upper hand. So I do agree with Zane but in an aspect that whoever adjusts fast is gonna be very, very interesting. But or have an advantage, in my opinion.
But how about right now? How about right now, bro? How about right now?
Right now? Okay. Here,
after ISF. Right?
Yeah. I'm like right now it's PH is back again, right? So it's just very, very different. Okay. Here's the thing. I just think it's whoever adjusts fast. I have been 20. If you watch me in 2020, Benji, obviously at the time I think it was a lot of. I was notoriously known in PH, right? I had a lot of banter.
Yes, you are. Bro.
With some of the casters. By the way, a lot of those casters had a relationship with them afterwards, as talking and say, hey, just for fun. But then they would respect each other. It's just how I see certain games, right? Like, but at the same time, for PH, I had nothing but love for the region. For competitive scene, my take is always very spicy because I was a coach and pro player for myself, right, for a very long time. And when I look at the games, I look at it from a different lens, very differently from just looking at the game like purely if you never play the game competitively. If you play the game competitively, you can ask any pro player that afterwards, if they're done, retired, and look at the game from a like a filter lens. And for me, I never really had any bias towards any teams because I'm in NA, right? There's no way for me to have any bias against any teams or towards any teams. It was just. I just want to share a token of love towards all my PH viewers. Love you guys. Hey, love only.
I have an additional question because in NA you also have a lot of Filipino players, and back in M4 you were there also, right? Casting. I was shocked that one of your coaches, I forgot his name. I think he's a Filipino. The
Balut. Balut.
Yes, Balut.
Is it Balut or Balut?
Balut.
I think it's Balut.
Yeah.
It's Balut. In the Philippines, it's Balut. I'm curious, what's the impact of these Filipinos to the NA region?
PH players are strong here. Like one thing that's really sad from our perspective as the organizers for NCT is that a lot of the good Filipino players are everywhere, right? But in US, North America is such a big region. It's Canada and US, right? Two countries combined in one big region called North America. Sometimes some people also categorize that to include Mexico, but we're talking about mainly language is exactly the same, culture exactly the same, which is just US and Canada. Now, there are a lot of PH immigrant players in Canada who are really talented, who I would love to see in our offline events. For example, Gina Gatmo. I don't know if you guys seen him. You guys probably don't know him. He is a similar situation where he's in Canada. He's a permanent resident of Canada with PH passport, but he cannot come to US for offline events. You know, like because he didn't have US visa. And you need a US visa to be here. Same as Ureshi, right? Ureshi, you guys already know NCT Spring. He was team outplay. And he was definitely one of the best players, right, in the world. And even when we went to M4, I asked a lot of pro players from PH Blacklist, also Echo. They all know him, right? Like they said they wanted that guy too. And then obviously he moved to Canada, but he couldn't come to US just because visa issues. So yeah, the players from PH in US are really, really good. It's just a matter of, but a lot of them cannot play due to player eligibility issues. Because in order for NACT, how the NACT works is we have our rules as well, and then the players have to be able to represent North America to go to all kinds of events, right? Local events, international events. So if you don't have travel documents, it's just they simply can't. So a lot of good players that you would have known, but they're not playing because player eligibility issues. Yeah, the requirements.
Right. You know, speaking of and that and just like the scene, I guess you will. Now, for a while, of course, I feel like even as I was watching this, M3 back then, you know, BTK was technically like a dark horse. A lot of people, I think that was their first time that they saw, you know, BTK, for example. So, you know, I'm curious, what was the scene like then? And then after that whole event and after all that fire and everything, how did the MLBB scene in NA like change? What was the effect of that?
It's quite interesting. It's almost similar, but also not so similar. Like before M3, BTK was destroying the entire US. Right?
Everyone,
literally, like all the community tournaments, they were #1, and no doubt about it. Like you go against BTK, you lose because they had this golden strategy before M3, which is just hyper carry Zane. And obviously Zane that's when he made a name for himself, which is playing carry, Ranger, Roger, YSS, all the characters that hyper carry really well at the time, right? The fighter junglers, the fighter marksman junglers, and also just pure marksmen, right? He played carry, and then he gets all the farm. At the time, it was like you get jungle, you get mid, you get silence. He taxes every single lane, and his team play towards his strength, right? In a sense where everybody let him tax everything, right? He goes to the lane, Cardi gives him all the farm, Cardi go harass other people. Same as he go to Chicken's lane, Chicken give him all the farm. It's same thing. And then the entire team work towards him. He gets so far ahead, and no other team does that. I don't know why BTK just had the unique advantage to do it. You know, they were the only team that did it successfully. And then wherever a few teams had the correct counter for them, which is just find an early game and invade Zane. If they invade Zane, he's done, right? If Zane is crushed, it was over. That's why he went to M3. They would ban all his characters, right? I remember like seeing those drafts. Blacklist win against him. YSS, Granger, they banned everything. You know, it was funny to watch. But they still end up winning, which is quite interesting. But at the time, I would say NA was similar to M1. Because we didn't participate in M2. It was similar to M1. We had our first official tournament at the time to select the M3 seed, and that's how BTK won. But it was still just one team dominates all, and then we tried to organize as much as we could, but it was there was no pro scene, right? There was not a scene. It was just BTK dominates all, and then but a bunch of community tournaments that we organized all that. Afterwards, after M3, after BTK made a name for themselves, when they came back, within NA, I don't know what happened within NA, but there was a lot of like actually invested tournament from Moontown officially. That's when the official tournaments are coming out. Initially, NACT was called North America Community Tournament. I was the first one who organized that. And then that changed to Challenger Tournament when we had a spring, summer. This is actually the 5th season now for NACT. Where a lot of people didn't know that, right? But People just thought this is probably the third, but it was actually the currently the 5th season for NACT. It's been around. So starting then, I think officially Moonhawk really started investing in North America quite heavily.
Put them on the map.
Put a region on the map. So it just, there are a lot more tournaments, and then it was a lot more fun because teams started developing. At the end of the day, though, however, because the region is so difficult, it's so expensive. The biggest difference between NA and the rest of the world, it's just so freaking expensive, right? So to like, for example, to have a player, it is like to have a player. I'm talking about like to develop a scene in the sense of, okay, $500 might be enough. $500 per month might be enough to pay a player or pay somebody's salary in any Asia country. Doesn't matter where you are. In Thailand, in Philippines, Indonesia, we did all the researches. That's all about the same. Maybe a pro player for top team, you get paid $1,500, right? $500 is more than enough to pay a player, especially entry level player. $500 in US, I mean, as you know, right? Like,
that's not even rent, man.
Yeah, that's not even rent. I don't know what that, like food. Even if you go to college and you share a room with 4 other roommates, you have to pay $800 a month for your rent. Like that's how much you're paying, right? So it's the players basically, because they cannot rely on playing ML to make a living. What do? They have to get jobs. They have to go to school, right? So this cannot be their top priority. It just can't. And so let's say, but if they have to go to work and they go to school, because most of our audience are really small, right? Our player base is also really young. They're young kids, they're small kids. And then they have to go to school and they have to go to work at the same time, especially a lot of immigrants, right? They come from other countries, they come here and then they want to make money to help their family out, which is really admirable. And imagine that kind of player who are working on the side, going to school full time, right? Finding a McDonald's job on the side or working at a Starbucks or whatnot, right? It's you have nothing but love and admiration for the kind of players. They also want to play ML because they're kids, right? And they're really good. They're talented. They want to compete. But then on the weekends, if their job calls them, they have to go to work, Like what comes first? So that's why NA has a lot of drama. And then also a lot of regions, a lot of viewers misunderstood the NA, saying like, oh, you guys can't even go to a match on time. Or why you guys always like change your roster? Why the team always change your roster? That's why, because fundamentally NA is so expensive. Because I would love for NA to be much cheaper, where we can pay a player $500 and then that would be the full and all for that player. But it can't. It simply can't, right? $500 is nothing for them here. So stuff are so expensive.
Yeah. $500 is 28,000 to 30,000 here in the Philippines. Yeah, and it's big here.
That's like a full salary of like a graduate. Right? That's like a full salary of a graduate from college here, and sometimes that's even more, because I think starting is even less than that, when you're a fresh grad. So, that's a huge point. Yeah.
There's a lot at stake, right? It's always a lot at stake, especially if you're going pro in NA. Yeah. And I think sometimes we take our region, we always take it for granted because on how blessed Philippines is as a region for MLBB. I think still a lot of players there, they still play PC, right? Rather than mobile. So I think that's a huge difference.
On that point too, you actually heard a lot of that from ISF in Romania. You heard a lot of people, even the hosts, be surprised at, wow, this is a mobile game and there's this much traction like in the numbers. I think a lot of people also didn't realize that, again, in the way the stages were set up for ISF, you had like this main stage that had like CSGO on it, because everybody follows, for the most part, these FPS games in that part of the world, right? And then you had Mobile Legends and Dota 2 share a stage. And what was interesting was that we still had a lot of people come watch MLBB live, but they had never, ever watched it before. And so if you listen to some of the casting that we were doing, I was explaining some things as if no one knew who Novaria was. No one knew who Franco was. No one knew who any of the Lord and Turtle. Because I had to think that, oh yeah, there is a lot of people here who are watching this for the first time. And then they would tell us afterwards, hey, we don't know the game, but thanks for, casting it that way, because now we understood it, right? And then, so it's a funny thing, because again, it's a part of the world where things are starting to catch up. It's starting to develop, the mobile scene. But I feel like still we're working against that stigma, and it's slowly going away. It's slowly going away, but it will take time.
I was hoping to see you there, man.
I believe it will.
I was hoping to see you. I was hoping to see Dave there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We just had too much fun in Thailand, so we can't. Thailand food is insane. Like
pad Thai.
The pad Thai.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I didn't eat pad Thai, but we ate some.
What?
Yeah, because like you go there, there's so many different options, right? Like pad Thai is obviously, the noodles obviously one of the things, but there's so many different options.
Yeah.
So like
but you gotta have the pad Thai in Thailand, man.
Oh, I think Zane tried it. Yeah. I probably did not. I ordered the fried rice because I love it. I love about surfing a pineapple, like actual pineapple. Yeah, it was and the pineapple over there. Oh God, it's so good. It is, dude. The fruit. I don't know. Like that's why Chipotle, I think their CEO went to Thailand and came back, and then they just add a bunch of spice from Thailand. So like this is so much flavor. Yeah. It was great. So I wouldn't say I regret IESF, but you guys seem like you had a lot of fun there too, eating bread.
Yeah. So. There's a lot of bread, and it was very hot.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
But when it's cold, it's cold.
Yeah. It was.
Okay.
If you're gonna come here, Dave, you should try the Balut. All right. You should try the Balut challenge. Okay.
Balut challenge?
Yes.
Yeah, just like Zane had to.
Okay, we will clip this now. Now. If Assassin Dave is going, well, of course you are. Of course you are.
Yeah.
You're gonna represent NA.
When he comes.
When he comes here in the Philippines, we will document it. We will document on
Balut
Dave
challenge
eating the Balut. All right.
Okay, so hold up. So you're saying that Valley's coach at the time, Balut, Coach Balut, was actually a challenge in PH?
No.
We
Balut
think he was just named after it.
Yeah. He was named after it. Because it's really hard to eat it, especially if you're a foreigner. Because it's an exotic food.
Yeah.
From the Philippines.
Strapian.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is?
No.
All right. Nice to do the honors. Explain it.
No. Just we'll explain it after he eats it.
Okay.
All right.
No.
All right.
It's basically a rite of passage that all foreigners get asked to do when they come to the Philippines.
Yes.
Oh.
All right. So clip this.
To leave it at that.
Clip this now. Accept the challenge that you will eat the Balut.
Yes, I accepted the challenge. Hey, you can take Dave out of Asia. You can take Asia out of Dave. All right. It's easy.
All right.
There it is.
All right. Easy content.
Easy.
So.
Do it.
That's gonna get clipped, and that'll be upheld, Dave, when you do come to the Philippines. But moving on, I think you've already covered too, kind of like the developing atmosphere of competitive play in NA. I think you've covered that. And is there anything specific that you can say about NA that differs them from, let's say, like culture of the game or understanding the game? Or do you think it was already what you mentioned earlier, how a lot of these players are young and they're managing life and work and gaming? Is that the biggest kind of difference?
I think the biggest difference is just NA. I think I summarize all the differences into one word, which is expensive, right? Like that's why I said NA is just so expensive. Yeah. So if that's problem solved, or another thing is really NA is such a big region, right? Like two countries that share the same culture, everything, right? But two different countries, one border, and what happened is with that comes a lot of travel issues. Like we really, to be honest, if we actually have the best players from NA to go to Worlds, one thing I would tell you, Asu, is NA. I have never doubted NA's opportunity to win Grand Championship on the world stage, right? We're that cocky and we're that confident. Literally the first time, actually the first tournament I ever went to was the first MSC, which is also the first tournament Mobile Legends ever hosted. It also happened to be in Jakarta, Indonesia.
You hosted that?
And I went.
Did you say you hosted?
I went as a KOL, as influencer.
Okay.
Was that in 2018 or 2019?
Was it
or maybe 2017? Yeah, maybe 2017.
17, I think.
Yeah,
wow.
It was 2017. I think was me at the time. Me, iFlex, the doggy, and Jimmy. 4 of us. Yeah, we're invited. It was really OG. And then we made all the whole point is we went, and then there are some pro players who were playing that tournament on the stage, and then there was a team called I Do Not Sleep, all that kind of stuff. It was a bunch of interesting names on the stage. And I just remember Hayabusa being the most OP character at the time, and I was known for playing Haya, as an influence at the time. And Haya was
Assassin.
Yeah, it was literally because that's why I named myself Assassin Dave, right? Before Hanzo came out, which is Hayabusa. and there was no Ling, none of that, right? It was just Haya and Fanny, and Haya was my go-to character. For those viewers who are watching, I do want to remind you, Haya at the time, the skill 2, you can dash with different shadows even when being quad controlled, right? So let's say you're being Franco's ulting you. Franco has always been there, right? So you dashed forward, try to do something, and Franco's ulting you. He's eating you, right? Eating you up. And you can still dash away to safety. It's the most and then also Hayabusa at level 4 will guarantee kill you with the full combo. So if I land a skill 2, and even though there's a full wave there, I just make sure I clear wave with some auto attack or shuriken, right? The skill 1, Venom Shuriken. And I throw an ultimate, you're dead. Doesn't matter, full HP, you're dead, guaranteed, okay? So it's like the most broken character, and also on like a 15-second cooldown, right? So you can use it to clear wave and kill people all at the same time. You know, it's literally, it's just broken. Yeah. And on that stage, for MSC, there was one team who used it, right? No other, and it was from a Singapore team, and I forgot who was playing it, but from my standard at the time, he sucked so bad. And I was watching this whole tournament, I was like, because at the time I didn't play, I was just I organized tournament. I already at that time organized 4 tournaments for North America, right? 4 community tournaments completely on my own. And then we had BTK Ghost, I casted all of their tournaments, I casted all of their matches. And I was like, dude, I wish BTK and Ghost were here, right? To play them.
To play, yeah.
Yeah, Hayabusa was 100% banned in our tournament, you know? It's literally, they were just always banned because Haya is so broken. The characters that, dude, you can literally be ulted by Saber. You can dash away. Like, and you come back in one shot, you're like, there's no answer to that, right? So my belief in NA being able to win on the world stage and win first place never wavered since then. Yeah. You know, it's just that all until now, every time people ask me who's going to win NA world championship in 5, NA, given the right opportunity, and I'm not bluffing on that, NA has the right talent, but it does need a proper environment to kind of nurture that, you know, to make that happen. For example, Valley M4 team actually went there for a whole month to train, but what we didn't foresee was a lot of personal dramas.
Of course.
Yeah. that was like the only team also from NA that so far has like garnered literally a phrase that everybody was chanting and like in the chat from in person.
Valley, dude.
You know?
Oh, we would love we would love actually personally I really want other regions to win. I really want especially NA because of course if NA wins it means the scene will be bigger, the scene will grow. And of course more opportunities to other players, other people in the industry, and especially us, right? Yeah. So what I'm getting from this right now is if you're saying that a lot of things are expensive in NA, it means that the salary is bigger too. So Naisu, please, I will now register for the visa, and I will try out for the caster's test. I will practice my English. No, I'm kidding.
You know what's crazy? Just to give your viewers this perspective, and you understand that when I say expensive, right? If you work at the fast food chain here, right? Just work a normal job, 8 to 5, 40 hours a week, and then a regular job, you will make more money than anyone who's working, like who's in the same ecosystem right now, or any of the pro players. Wow. Even there, like even in current NACT, some pro players are getting paid. You know, because there's actually a sponsor, Team Avalon, for you do not know. They are actually sponsored, backed by a very, very nice family, right? So in that sense, a very, very nice sponsor. They're paying generously. Even then, if you work in a fast food restaurant full time, you'll make more than. Because
what's minimum wage now in the US?
15. I think it's $15 per hour.
So that's like 800 pesos an hour for the Filipino listeners. They're working at McDonald's. They're making 800 pesos an hour.
Wow. Yeah. So like think about that, and you ask a player to dedicate. Like they have to help their family, and it's so expensive. They just moved here, right? Like imagine them have to choose. Okay, do I go to a fast food restaurant to work, or make some money, or do I like play? At the same time. I think NA is like this for a lot of other things. People also did not know the Olympians. A lot of Olympians for Olympics, for North America, for US, they're all college students. It's not like they like after they got Olympic champion medal, they go back to college and finish their school. It's not like where I grew up in China, the Olympians, the people who are athletes, they're trained when they're kids. They do nothing but, sports, right? Like, because it's so easy, it's so cheap also. Even in China to say government give you support and you become a fully professional athletes, right? In US, no, the athletes who are going to the Olympics, they're also college students. They're also working sometimes, It's similar to Mobile Legends. It's actually quite crazy how US just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I think that's a very interesting thing because a lot of people don't, kind of acknowledge how different it can be, or they don't know the details, right? The details for it. So, moving on, I'm gonna let Manjin take this part because what we're gonna ask you to do, and he's gonna explain like briefly also part of it in Tagalog because like we're gonna ask you to categorize basically, right? There's 3 categories. And so what this is for is you're gonna organize NA's teams, right? So in relation to their road to M5, so since that's the title of this, series, you got to think about how's their journey, how's their road to M5, right? So we have 3 categories for it, and Manjin, I'll let you go ahead and break that down.
You're tiering every team. Every team. All right. So the first category in Filipino is called Di Makakasama. It means those who for sure won't be able to join.
Hold up. Sorry to interrupt. Is it Di Makaka? How many kaka? 2 kaka?
Just 2 kaka, all right? 2 kaka. Di makakasama.
Di makakasama, okay.
It means those teams who are for sure won't be able to join M5. Cool. All right? They're gonna be stuck in NA. All right? Next is na traffic. For those who has a chance. It's stuck in traffic for those who has a chance, but we will but of course gonna have a harder time. And finally, those who are in the expressway, in Tagalog expressway, those who are driving in a freeway. So there are 3 categories. First, teams who won't be able to make it. Second, stuck in traffic. Teams that might make it, and then expressway. Expressway means those who will just automatically go to M5 for you. All right, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So Di Makakasama, right, is a team who can never make it.
Yes.
And then I wouldn't say, I would just say for current season.
Okay.
In the future, for all my boys listening in NA and playing, the whole point of NACT is legacy. So every single season you need to get better, right? So if you're not making it this season, you need to make it next season. But on that note, there are a few teams, right? For example, Aggro 1, Nighthorde, they for sure just cannot make it, right? Di Makakasama, right?
Yes.
They're basically in that category.
They're not, there you
this
go.
season, it's done so, right? Aggro 1, I think, is a team that in NA that actually one of the highest ranked teams. Other players like grind a lot, but I don't know why somehow on the competitive stage you're just not able to perform. Maybe next season make some adjustments. Nighthorde, same thing. I think they're going through a lot of Nighthorde's roster has gone through a huge change. So for my Nighthorde boys, there are a few players in the team has been my homies for quite some time. So get better. But this season, Di Makakasama. And then next is
stuck in traffic.
No traffic. They're in traffic.
They might
stuck in traffic.
make it.
Not traffic. Okay.
Yes.
All right, stuck.
Yeah.
They might make it. Yeah. So I think for this category, it's basically everyone but TLB and BTK. Okay. That includes Avalon, Night of Fate, Bloodhounds, and Area 77. Now, with that, Avalon does have a slight advantage. Their team has obviously being one of the most backed team in North America this season. Avalon have some well-known players. Basics in there, right? Like a lot of Fallens in there, a lot of players from Simpsons, from previous NACT Fall. They were in there. They were all in that team. So they definitely have players who have been on stage and are very experienced. They also have a coach, Coach Shiro from Philippines as well. So this team is decked out. They definitely has the advantage in terms of going against other team. But there are a few teams you cannot just give up on them because, for example, I'll give you an example like Knights of Fate. they beat Avalon and got number 3 in stage 2, right? Knights of Fate is a full Vietnamese team in North America. They're full American, but they're Vietnamese descent, right? They're Vietnamese blood. And then, which is quite exciting because another thing I want to talk about in NA, and a lot of people say NA team going to Worlds, they're all Asian faces. North America is such a hodgepodge, should I say a hot pot of everything, right? You call them Asian American, African American, different American, Caucasian American, different Americans. They're Latino American, right? Like there's just so many different Americans. But at the end of the day, they're all Americans. We share the same culture. But doesn't mean they're not Asian American. Doesn't mean Asian doesn't dominate in a gaming atmosphere. It's still, that's the case everywhere, right? Asians are so, I think it's interest end of the day, right? So like video gaming, especially MOBA. Now, Knights of Fate, this team is really good. Not only they're good, they're also talented and they're also creative, right? They're a team like to try different things. They try Harley mid, Harris mid, I think Esmeralda mid. A lot of it is troll, but one thing I like about this team the most is camaraderie. This team is probably the most united team among the entire roster that we have, the top 8 teams, right? And every time I see like the boys loving each other, right, having fun, in a good way.
Yeah.
They're loving each other in a totally camaraderie way.
Yeah, right.
It's a really good thing to have for a team, and that kind of synergy might just surprise you on the stage, right? Okay. They only take one player on any of the good team to tilt, and for this team to take that opportunity and completely just run you over, right? Same as like Bloodhounds. Bloodhounds has been in a scene for quite some time now for NA, and then now they just made it into regular season. This is the first time, and they definitely have the drive. They want to win. When I talk to them, they're not aiming for number 3, number 4. They're going there to win, to get it all. So they have the drive. Era 77, I think it was NACT Spring, which is probably the first season ever. They were the NA champion, right?
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. It's been a long time, but do all the teams have a chance? Yes. Are they stuck in traffic? Absolutely, right? They forgot who they are. Okay. And then this is one of the Black Panther movies. You had to tell T'Challa, remember who you are, right? This is one of the moments. Right. But yeah, to be honest, if we talk about that's the people who are in Natra Pick, stuck in traffic, sure. The Naka Expressway, are TLB and BTK, but TLB more than anything else, they're in the same situation. The same narrative spring, right? Which is TLB dominating the entire regular season. But this time we're differently from last season, is that last season, BTK Valley just came back together, right? Everybody emotionally on the same footing. It's like, okay, sure. Zane is like, sure, like my team, completely, I'm on my own now. I have to make a new team. But he has the burning fire that, screw you guys. I'm going to win it all myself, right? He had that. Now, after a whole season, and especially what happened with the whole drama after NACT Spring, it's really hard for someone to maintain that fire. Now, I don't know, right? It's up to Zane to prove to us whether he has that fire. Now, I personally heard some pep talk in Thailand. We had it with the team, and it was really spicy, right? That's why I think this guy is an absolute leader. Whether you like him or not, he's a leader in the team, and every team needs that kind of leadership. In order to, that's a championship leadership, kind of material in my opinion, right? But obviously, I think Zane's getting old. Yeah, no.
You getting some gray hairs or what?
He's young. See, 22 years old. But
I think in the scene,
he's
the scene. In the scene, he's getting old, right? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's getting senior. He's getting senior. So, So BTK. And also TLB this season is very different from previous season in a sense, more so than BTK. TLB this season is more composed than ever because they went to MSC. By the way, for those people who give them a hate, I just want to say, like, again, no hate, just love, right? Because TLB, they didn't want to go to MSC, right? They lost fair and square. After they lost, there were a lot of emotion being shared, and then obviously, but the team recognized they lost. They took the defeat, and then they were gonna pack it home. But because of player eligibility issues at the time, right, with BTK, so TLB was put in the position to go. And they obviously, if you're gonna ask you to go, we're gonna go, right? That's how it was. But it's not like they stole the spot. Nobody stole any spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now coming back, they had a lot of and also TLB in MSC also got a lot of necessary hate because they didn't perform well. There's many reasons for that, right? Obviously, random in that position to say, hey, all of a sudden you're not going, well, you're going. They have to go through that emotionally hula hoop, right? And another thing is, once they went, they had a coach, and I think Coach Dell was a great coach, right? He's really smart. But here after I talked to the team, there was I think everyone thought in the end it was a little bit counterproductive. Not to say that Coach Dell didn't do a good job, but because they had too little time. The team had, I think, overall 3 days to train for the entire thing because they thought they didn't go, right? And then once they went, all the media day was crazy amount of media days, and then they had a solid 3 days to train. Like, imagine that, let any coach, like, what is the coach gonna do in 3 days?
In 3 days,
right? Yeah, there's just nothing anyone can do. It takes a long time for someone to understand the team, how they play, and then come up with a strategy that will work, that fits the team. So it was not to Coach Dell. There's nothing Coach Dell can do. I would love to have Coach Dell coach a team for a long time in NA, but we don't have the opportunity at the time for MSC. So they really took a lot of hate. Go in there on a moment notice, and then put on a lot of pressure, and then didn't perform well. So they come back with the similar drive that I saw in BTK for NACT Spring.
Wow.
They wanted to win. They went through drama. They overcame the drama and understand, okay, this is the time we have to prove ourselves because we took a lot of unnecessary hate and we can't just swallow it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So fall, I feel like it's a different TLB. The way how they played, I don't know if you watched some of the games, were really disciplined. Very different from how they won in spring. And also, even spring finals, a lot of games that they won, they lost. They were on a 13,000 goal lead, I think, in a few games, and BTK turned it around, right? Because they didn't close off.
Crazy defenses,
Yeah, crazy defenses. So TLB is not a team you should, think of history can repeat itself. This team's gonna go to grand final and just wah, right? It's a different TLB going to the grand final now this time. So BTK definitely. That's why I said this is literally at the boiling point of the entire NA drama, right? That's why I'm so looking forward to the NACT fall grand finals.
Yeah,
who's gonna actually represent? Who wins this is gonna have forever gonna have the moral right to say, yo, I deserved it, right? It doesn't matter.
All right.
So that's the case.
So
go ahead.
To follow up on that, because now that you've categorized everything and the road here, I'm wondering, where do you put, basically, let's say whatever team does qualify, right? And they get to M5, how do you think they're going to do against, the rest of the world, the Philippines, the Indonesians? And also to build up on that is, how is it different this time? Because you mentioned, MSC, they didn't have a lot of time. So is there something in place this time? So once you guys wrap up, is there this better preparation period for NA?
It's yes and no. Because the NA this time have one thing that we do have is plenty of time. Because like NA, after our final finished October 1st, and I believe M5 somewhere in December. Right?
Yeah, you have 2 months.
There's there's minimum 2 months that any team can prepare. But another thing is, where are they going to prepare? Like, it ultimately come down to the same challenge that NA always have and will remain to have, which is NA too expensive. Yeah, because the thing is here, and let me explain why this aspect is expensive, right? Because after NACT is done, the players can go back to their regular life, school, work, So yes, everybody would dream of coming to Philippines to train for 2 months, right? Against the best teams in the world, right? Like to actually practice, but they can't. They still have to go to school, and there's no way. Like, imagine you come from an immigrant family, you're going to school, and your parents are like, yeah, you can drop out of school for 2 months to go play video games. No way in the world, right? That their parents are gonna let that happen. So, and if they're a minor, they have to get parents' consent in order to do anything, right? And if they're in school, let's say a player's in college or high school, even if their parents give them consent, you really have to take a different personality to say, I'm gonna drop out of school for half a semester, right? Or a whole semester to go to Asia to train. So the reality have to kick in. But NA does have some time. Now, if they do stay in NA though, with that time, the quality of training is not going to be very high because the NA just doesn't have enough talents to consistently train. And that's one thing that we from behind the scene, what we try to do is try to help more talents become better and better, more players become better and better, and more teams become more solid, come together so they can constantly train and also develop more. That's why also we encourage third-party tournaments all the time, heavily in North America, because we know it's those tournaments that's really important for the ecosystem. They keep the team playing, they keep the team training, which helps all the, everybody, right? Because the number one team now all of a sudden have some team to train with, Otherwise, if NACT finish, everybody's going to go on break. What's the purpose of keep on training or playing, right? They're done for until next NACT comes in. So we love our entire community. They've put in a lot of work for all the smaller tournaments, independent tournaments, to keep our team constantly training. Still, NA does have time. It's going to be challenging, right? Whether go to Asia, can they even go to Asia to train, to do their own, realities, their own, challenges. But I would love to have NA team go there to train. That's why Valley is such a unique situation, right? You literally have Hoon, Zane, Basic, Chicken, and Shark. 5 players who decided, okay, we're gonna go, and who happen to be in a position in life where they can just put everything on pause and go, right? Yeah. So, and they separated. So so it's gonna be more challenging this season, but I do think that good things take time. So doesn't waver my support for NA.
So would you guys love to train here for what, 2 months? Would you love that?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Or like a month.
I'm
or
calling
like a few
out
weeks.
Moonton. I'm calling out Moonton already.
Oh snap!
Okay, I'm calling out Moonton. If whoever wins NACT, you give the budget to Dave. You give the budget to Dave. We want to see it, bro. We want to see
Let's make it happen. Yes.
Let's make it happen. Shout out to Moonton.
We'll leave him in Engines house. I'll bunker up under.
Not my house, man. My house is small.
So you're also calling Moonton to call the schools and colleges and workplaces.
Yes.
Let them go.
Show us the Moonton power.
So if ever that happens, Dave, if ever it happens, like Moonton will sponsor everything. Shout out to Moonton.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
If ever it happens, dude, give us your fearless forecast. What place will NA finish in M5?
M5? Oh snap! That is a really, really intense forecast. I mean, we did lose to Burn X Flash in the MSC, which kind of was a little. Everybody was gonna admit it's a little embarrassing, But Burn X Flash is a good team they developed. So yes, I would say I think NA is gonna aim for top 3. I think we have the opportunity to. Yes. Okay. Meta change.
So
remember that.
You don't want to say top. You don't want to say first. You just think like
this time. Yeah.
You're honestly thinking top 3. I think
that's the goal.
Honestly, if you get top 3, that's that's huge impact anyway.
For this one, to be honest, NA realistically, because I think there's something between setting a goal that's too astronomical where you cannot reach, you just give up. Okay, go grab the moon. I know I'm never gonna do it, so you just give up trying, right? But I think top 3 is possible for many reasons, right? Because NA, the TLB, BTK both have the drive, the talents, the leadership to make this happen. NA is at this point, at its maturity, where the teams who win, let's say TLB, if they win the ticket, all 5 players can actually make the dedication to go earlier, right? How much earlier they'll have to decide, but they can actually go earlier. I know best player, Hoon, Shark, they're already, talking about it, right? Obviously, there's Zia. His dream is to show Mobazane he can be different. He can be a goal laner. So no, I'm just kidding. I love you, Zia. So Zia, obviously want to go to M series again, right, for the longest time. So he definitely want to go there. He want to go train, and he'd been talking to me about going to Philippines. And by the way, Zia is one of the nicest kid I've ever met. He did not deserve any of the hate that came towards his way, right? People made fun of him. I think there was a whole meme that made out of him, a goal laner you have, right? I think it probably started with Zane, but it doesn't matter. Zia was a good kid. He just wanted to play a different position. That's all, right? For a long time. And then now it's one of the best. Looks like all it takes is time. So they can go. BTK, their players all have the drive and the will to go. They're more on like figuring out personal issues, get that sorted. But the players are crazy. I think it's because the leader is crazy. So primitive mode, right? So all the players are crazy too. Everyone who is associated with Zane have got some of the craziness from him. It's good on the stage, right? Because then they just don't give a shit and just put a pedal to the metal and just floor it. Right. And that's attitude.
That's the NA personality.
Yeah, it's NA personality. They have the Mobazane effect when they go to big stage.
Wow. So realistically speaking, third place.
That's a realistic goal.
That's a realistic goal.
Okay.
But there's a chance. First place. It could happen.
Yeah, everything has a chance. And like if there is a chance, I'm the first believer, behind that team. So
there you go.
Better pull up.
Hey, I mean, love to hear it, regardless of if they get the full send from Moonton or not.
They will. They will.
I hope they do.
I will use all of my powers to speak.
That's the man gene pull right there.
That's the man gene pull, man. That's the man gene pull.
I will try.
Dude,
that's the face of MPL.
That's a PH power. Like, I love it.
Yeah. By the way, he's an inductee in the Hall of Legends.
I'm calling out all of the sponsors right now. Go ahead. Give us what we want. No, I'm kidding.
Sheesh.
All right.
Yo, we'll use your use all the local services, right? If local Grab want to sponsor us, we'll use your Grab, 24/7, Menji, whatever sponsor you wanna throw it our way, we'll do it.
I just want to see more competitiveness, man. Like,
yes, sir.
As a fan of the scene, I want to see drama. I want to see competition. More MLBB.
Oh yeah, we'll bring in drama.
I that's what I was gonna say, man. Like, I just love. I mean, this is a non-biased opinion, or think about it biased because I'm also from the US. But I just love having NA in these tournaments. I love. Also, a part of me is always. I've been very vocal about this ever since. Like, I always root for NA teams as well, as much as I love my Philippine and Indonesian teams and all that stuff. All these powerhouse teams. I am a huge proponent of seeing these other parts of the region grow, and that's what I was very vocal about, recently as well. Like, seeing teams like Kazakhstan, man, and Mongolia, and like rise through these ranks. I'm just like, this is what I want, Like,
Saudi Arabia is very promising. Right?
Saudi Arabia
and Egypt.
Like, I love it, and Egypt. Yeah. So NA is another team, and I love their what we just said, like their NA personality of being blunt and having this in these tournaments. I love it. So. That is great to hear from you, Dave, and it's been amazing, of course, having you here for our second episode. We've talked about so much, and I love to hear some of these like deeper insights, and I'm sure a lot of people will appreciate hearing some of these insights that a lot of people, for example, don't know. Like, they don't know these backgrounds and some of these struggles that these players go through, and the challenges that they have of balancing, home life or homework balance, even, or school and whatnot. So all right, it's been amazing to have you here, Dave, with us on this second episode here with Road to M5. Now, before we wrap it up, just want to go ahead and ask you, do you have any final messages, shout outs, or plugs you want to give out to anyone?
Absolutely. The plug is the NACT. Make sure to go watch NACT tournaments on the Mobile Legends official North America channel. Search Mobile Legends North America on YouTube, you'll find it. And obviously, it's also streamed on official Mobile Legends channel when the tournament goes live this season, so which is really cool. Just to show you that Moontown's really, putting a lot of support, giving a lot of support to North America region, which is really great. Big shout out to actually Moontown for supporting this region, because they really don't have to, but they are doing it. And we're just glad that we have the opportunity, the players, the casters, everybody in this local community. So big shout out to them for making it happen. And then the final messages, I would say, actually to you guys, because this has been an absolute blast to be here. I think you guys are awesome doing this podcast to, get to talk to different regions about Mobile Legends. Conversations like this that definitely help a lot of, give you a lot of perspectives on different things, to let you know how different region works. And I think it's incredible. I personally love podcasts. So big shout out to you guys. Menji, nice. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And you guys are handsome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Hope you guys have a wonderful day in PH.
He's probably where Clint would be from. I don't know where Clint's from, but
All right.
it's on you somewhere.
Go ahead, guys. Please follow Assassin Dave also on every social media page. Yes.
Your
YouTube,
socials.
IG, right? At Assassin Dave.
Mostly Mobile Legend official NA though. To follow the NACT. Because we cannot wait. We're gonna bring a great show. And the reason why I say that, like every time if you watch NACT's show, you look at the comments, everybody like, oh, better than MPL. I don't know if that's true or not, because I think MPL has great talents, have some of the best talents, and I think you guys are awesome, right? We watch MPL for the actual content, right? For the actual matches, but the stages, the show are awesome too. We do have a lot of praises for NA though, and I'm not, gonna be humble when we say this. NA does put on great shows, so make sure you watch it if you wanna. If you're looking for great content, watch NACT Grand Finals and NACT regular season stage 3 coming up.
I have to say, I was flabbergasted, man. When I went to Vegas and I saw what they put together there, as someone who's seen different production stuff, I was like, dude, this is top tier, man. Like I loved what they did, and I was surprised at just how good it looked. So is it? I'm assuming it's the same people going to.
Same production partner, right? Yes, but same production partner, different venue, and it's away. And again, this is the first time we have 4 teams there. We have special guests, hidden guests that you don't know, but you will know and you want to know. Nice. So yeah, stay excited.
That's awesome, man. Can't wait. Of course, we love watching as well. So again, thank you so much, Dave. It's been a great having you here. And thank you to all our viewers, our listeners, whether you guys are watching or listening, on Spotify. Don't forget to check this out on the official Spotify channel for MPL. And this has been the second episode of the Road to M5, the journey of all these teams around the world leading up to the most prestigious tournament. Again, this has been hosted by SouMan, me, Naisu, and Manjin.
Yeah.
We're getting it together. And of course, our esteemed guest, Dave, Assassin Dave. It has been amazing to have you with us once again. And of course, our official teleco partner, Smart. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. Thank you so much. You can follow my socials. It's just at Naisu on everything. Manjin, where can everybody find you?
At Manjin Faldas on everything. On everything. Officially, this is a thing. Assassin Dave is our first contender for the Balut Challenge. So samahan nyo kami next week, and don't forget to follow the official MPL PH pages, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Spotify accounts. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week.